We got to do Kriya also.
Yes. Those who are wearing a black ribbon, you can put black ribbon on.
I only put one on, so I didn't have to have the immediate border. Right. And maybe mama. Yeah. So children, the ribbon goes on your left side. It's off the side of your heart.
She doesn't want it. Oh, we do want it. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
You're good. That's all right. Is a brother an immediate border?
Yes, sir. This is on your right side. Put it here on your scarf, and then you'll transfer it over.
She's daughter.
Okay,
Sorry.
then I need your left side.
She's
then.
my sister.
Okay.
Her daughter.
All right.
Right.
Sorry. Right. Right side.
And those with the ribbon, if you can, stand. Just sit in your chair. You can do that kind of standing position. But again, you guys standing on it. Okay. And then repeat after me. Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Eloheinu, Melech, Haolam, Dayan, Ha'emet. Praised are you, Lord our God, Lord of the universe, the righteous judge. Adonai, Natan, Adonai, Laka, Yehi Shem, Adonai, Nevarah. Yeah, let it, yeah. Can everybody Kol Omer Kra, V'Amar Ma'akra, Kol HaBasar Chatzir, V'Chol Chasdo Ketzitz HaSadeh, Yavesh Chatzir Novel Tzitz Ki Ruach Adonai Nashkavo. A voice says, cry out, but I ask, what shall I cry? All flesh is like grass. All of its beauty is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, and the flower fades, when a wind from God blows upon it. Surely, therefore, people are like grass. The grass withers, and the flower fades, but the word of God endures forever. David Mizmor l'Adonai haaretz u'mloat tevel v'yoshveva, ki hu yal yamin yisada, v'yal nahoret yechoneneha. Mi ya'aleh bahar Adonai, u'mi yakum bimkom kadsho, neki chapayim uvar levav, asher lo nasa lashav nafshi v'lo nishba lemirma. The earth is the Lord's with all of its fullness. The world is the Lord's with all of its inhabitants. Who may ascend the mountain of the Lord? Who may stand in the holy place? He who has clean hands and a pure heart. He will receive a blessing from the Lord and a just reward from the God of deliverance. You know, if you pick up a science book, a science textbook from 100 years ago, 50 years ago, a medical book, a medical textbook, it will be outdated on almost every page. Certain things that science textbooks would say even 100 or 50 years ago would actually be embarrassing if you read them, because so much has changed. So much does change in science. But if you pick up a book about a person's life, a biography, from 20 years ago or from 2,000 years ago, you'll see that not a lot has changed in terms of feelings, not a lot has changed in terms of the motivations of being a human being, and the things that we all need in life, things we all want in life, the things that make us laugh, the things that make us cry. Those things have not changed at all, and the book could be 1,000, 2,000 years old. It's a different side of our brain. You know, one side does the calculations, the science. The other side seeks out friendship and seeks out love and seeks out meaningful moments in life. Your husband, your father, your grandfather was a scientist. He lived in the world of science. He lived on the cutting edge of science in some cases. He looked for and researched and discovered new ways that science could help us that they couldn't help us 100 years ago. Drugs to help people face illness, cancer research. He knew best of all. He knew best of all. The science of treating illness has changed with new discoveries. But it was a different side of his brain that wrote you letters that summer. Right? It's a completely different side of his brain. And that's why biographies and science books are different from each other. We don't treat illness the same way we did, but we all seek out love, and that's timeless. We all seek out friendship and community and family, and that's timeless. We all want to matter to another human being, and that is timeless, whether it's happening now or 500 years ago. We all want to feel that we can turn a stranger into a friend through acts of kindness. You said you were drawn to Jerry because he was so bright, and he was so smart. You liked the way that his mind worked, and he was probably often the smartest person in the room. But you also liked him because he could be silly, and because he could be fun, and because he remembered you when you didn't think he'd remember you, right? Wasn't that the story? You didn't think he'd remember you from a couple years ago. And because he wrote those great letters. I doubt he wrote too much science in those letters. It was just a different side of his brain. He wanted you to laugh. He wanted you to be charmed, and he won you over. It was the side of the brain that took every grandchild on a special trip, right? Because beyond the destination, whatever the destination was, the purpose of the trip was to create bonds with the grandchild. And that's a different side of the brain. I know the stories you met at a party, and it was suggested that he drive you home, but all the while that he waited, you were talking to everybody else at the party, I guess. And you evidently were messing up his schedule. I don't know.
We love that
But-
so much. Yes.
But you didn't think he'd remember you, and he did. And he remembered you for the rest of his life.
That was because I had my braces taken off.
Oh, wow. When I'm done, I want you to go through your, David and Karen and Judy. I know all of you connected to your dad, and he gave valuable wisdom to you. And David, you worked with him, and you learned lessons from him. And you learned from him about optimism and his desire to get things done, to make decisions and move forward. When he told you that procrastination is the thief of time, when he told you that everything you do will take 5 minutes, he was reminding you to get things done, and not to be intimidated. He wanted you to learn not to be a pushover in life. Right now, exactly. Oh, he's agreeing with me. Your dad had learned by being raised in a tough neighborhood that you have to learn how to be strong during tough situations, that you need to stand up for yourself. He wanted to make sure that all of you carried some of that toughness into life and into career. Karen, you mentioned he was very supportive of you as you changed majors, as you changed career directions, art history, and you consider him a mentor and advisor. I know, Judy, although we didn't talk directly, that your siblings were certainly communicating to me the wisdoms that he shared with you and how you all came to him for advice and valuable life wisdom. Shelley, I know marrying into the family, you recognized that your father-in-law had a heart of gold. You also realized that he could tell you tall tales and wait for you to finally realize that they weren't true. But you knew he cared for you. He cared about you, and you so valued the special nature of your relationship with him. PhD from MIT in biochemistry. This is a smart guy. MIT's first doctorate program in biochemistry. I know the grandchildren recognized that a certain chemo drug for leukemia they were studying was a drug that Grandpa had worked on. He was accomplished. He was brilliant. He started 4 different companies in his lifetime. He did the research, enzyme manufacturing, biotech. He knew those areas didn't exist 100 years ago. That's how science changes. But you know what? The other side to his brain was the side that wanted to take care of his family. It was the side that wanted to strengthen relationships. When he worked, he operated at 100%. But the other side of his brain also worked at 100%. His relationships worked at 100%. Visiting children suffering from cancer was very difficult for him to do because he was a feeling person. It was jarring, it affected him. But this was no ivory tower professor. This was a living, feeling human being who lived in this world and not in the distance from it. And he was very proud of his kids and his grandchildren. He saw the future of his family through his grandchildren. I know he was very proud of all of them. He teased you. He relished his time with you. He believed in you. I know you told me he liked chess, right? Like fishing and chess. They both take time, by the way. And you have to take it step by step. You have to take it move by move. He could look back at his life and see its growth step by step. His parents had been immigrants after World War I. I want to offer my condolences to Alan, brother. And the 2 of you lived in that childhood home, not a demonstrative home in terms of emotion and celebration, but they loved their kids and were very proud of them. And I know that Jerry loved his parents, especially close to his mother. And from that beginning in this country, now to be able to see all the generations coming in the future and his family must have given him great joy. He felt a great connection to Israel. He did business there. He started a company there. I know it's interesting that several of you described him as having a hard exterior but soft underneath. That's exactly how they describe the Sabra plant in Israel. That's exactly how they describe it. Yes, part of his life was a science book and dealing with the realities of life. And in that world, he made discoveries that inspired people's lives. But the other side was the biography of a human being who found a partner for 69 years, who shared his life with her, who had friends and family dinners and parties and went to the symphony and the playhouse, who was motivated to share and give love to family because he believed life is for the living. He made a difference in the world of science, but he also made a remarkable difference in the world of biography, yours as well as his. He lived with a good name, and he died with a good name. Now you want to call on individuals in the family? We're going.
Like at my bat mitzvah, I just thought me. Or maybe I will.
That's right, I did get you.
You did catch me. Sure did. I've gotten much more graceful, but yeah, you might need to. So I did prepare something, but in addition to that, just kind of what Rabbi Scott just said, you know, it's been incredible to be in the oncology field and be so privileged to look and be like, wow, my grandpa helped create this drug that we're using, cytarabine, and you know, one of the things that he had worked on with the drug was mechanisms of resistance, so why it would stop working or didn't work in certain cancer cells. And so he just knew, even back then, he was always one step ahead, because that's how you have to think about it. You know, why isn't this working? What can we do about it? And so he's always been one step ahead, and I have to believe he's one step ahead of us now, but he's still here with us. And so with that, it's impossible to describe him. And so really, the best way I can say it is, Grandpa Jerry is a Camiener. I don't know how else to describe him. A Camiener. He was witty, funny, innovative, passionate, driven, and brilliant. He was exceptional in every way. He always persevered. There was nothing he couldn't do. He was Superman. But even those words hardly encapsulate the person that he was. He was my best friend. He taught me about science and how to make the impossible possible. Look at the big picture and work backwards, he recently told me. I learned what true love is through the adoration and love he had for my grandmother. He taught me never to settle and the importance of doing things right. Being a Camiener is everything to me. It means that my Grandpa Jerry is forever a part of me. It means that I have the honor and privilege of being a part of his lasting legacy. When something doesn't seem possible, such as this, getting through this, I feel weak or I've lost faith in myself, I remind myself of who I am. I am a Camiener. I am Jerry Camiener's granddaughter. In fact, I am the other Dr. Camiener. And damn it, I better start acting like it. Grandpa Jerry, you are forever a part of me. I will miss you every day for the rest of my life. I hope you know that I love you forever, and I can't wait till I see you again soon.
I've struggled trying to put into words how great of a man my grandpa is. His academic and professional accomplishments are never ending. My grandpa went to Michigan, MIT, and Harvard. He worked in the same lab as Watson and Crick. Google his name, endless patents come up. However, the one thing that has always amazed me was I never learned any of his accomplishments through him. He never talked about those things. I just knew him as Grandpa Gerald. What I did know was he was the coolest grandpa anyone could ask for. He was hard on the outside and soft on the inside. He taught me to be tough and how to be a leader. I remember as a young kid driving around, my grandpa was pumping his fist, telling me to rule with an iron fist and be mean or Camiener. For how tough my grandpa was, the most ironic thing is that he had a way bigger heart. He always went out of his way to spend quality time with you and listening. From a young age, I remember sitting in bed watching National Geography shows with him, making sticky buns, and Grandpa teaching me how to play chess. However, my coolest memory from when I was a kid were our fishing trips together. We never really caught anything that impressive, but the time my grandpa, dad, and I spent together on the boat was unmatchable. It was so cool to be one of the guys. Specifically, one year my grandpa took it upon himself to teach me a slew of Japanese swear words. Not sure if it was his way of trying to encourage me to expand my vocabulary since I was not a really good student in English.
Japanese, maybe.
Yeah. Regardless, I thought it was the coolest thing. But my grandma mom did not. That day he taught me one of his most famous sayings. It's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. It was calculated. He knew my mom and grandma would be upset, but he was willing to take the risk to see me smile and laugh. That was the most important thing. One of my favorite memories of my grandpa was when I was a freshman in college. I visited my grandparents for spring break. Richard Balaban, my grandma's cousin, was down in Naples looking for a condo. For those who don't know Richard, it's important to know that he's a psychologist. Richard, my grandpa, and I were all sitting at the table talking when Richard asked a personal question related to finances. My grandpa immediately turned to me and said, "Sam, these people act like they care about you, but on the inside they're really saying F you." I really don't think he meant to teach me a lesson that day, but he did. Sometimes what you believe in isn't the most comfortable or easy thing to do. Although my grandpa didn't intentionally teach me that, the point is we're always learning from Jerry and me. There's so much to learn from him. A million years wouldn't have been enough time to learn everything from there. Grandpa, it still doesn't feel really... Let me just your laugh. sense of humor and talking to him. The world will never have another Gerald Camiener. It could use a million more. Being a grandson was my biggest honor. I'm lucky that he's my grandpa. One day I'll share with my kids how amazing a man you were. Pass down every lesson you taught them. I'll also make sure if Hillary Clinton runs for president again, we're never going to vote for her. Love you forever. Yep.
It was impossible to know my Grandpa Jerry and not have him be in your top 5 favorite people of all time ranking. He truly was an exceptional husband, father, and grandfather. My Grandpa Jerry had every reason to be boastful. He was brilliant, successful, and had the resume to prove it. But what made my grandpa so special was that he was just Grandpa. He was a humble man and never talked about his successes unless they involved a funny story, such as successfully turning up the thermostat every Thanksgiving without my mom seeing it. My grandpa made me feel special and important in a way I struggle to describe. When you talked to him, he didn't just hear you, but instead he listened to you. He and my grandma were very active in my life growing up and made efforts to come to every possible event I had, no matter how big or small. He was constantly reminding me, my siblings, and the rest of our family how important we were to him and how much he loved us. While I'll miss many things about my grandpa, one thing I will especially miss is laughing with him. My grandpa had the best sense of humor. You know him, you know he'd get that little glint in his eye, and he'd have that mischievous smirk when he was preparing to say some smart aleck, witty comment. His laugh was so hearty and full that you couldn't help but smile and laugh along when you heard it. I'll miss listening to his stories and learning something new from him every time we were together. Grandpa, I'm so proud to be your granddaughter. There would have never been enough time with you, but I'm so grateful for the time that we did have together. I love you, and I'll be missing you forever.
Well,
Hard hit.
yeah.
Did you take your head?
Huh?
Did you take your head? Oh, I thought you said you
I would have done that. Yeah. Grandma's used to seeing me hit my head. Yeah. So, um, okay. Wonderful, you're all here. So, you ask yourself about life, and you ask yourself, what do you say for the measure of a man? Is it the man's accomplishments? Is it the man's material achievements? Is it the degrees the man has attained over his lifetime? Is it the trophies he's won? Is it the awards which have been bestowed upon him? Is it the friends he's made? In the case of my father, Gerald Camiener, he himself achieved and excelled in all those areas. To this end, I believe that the measure of Gerald Camiener will be reflected in those here, meaning each of you, who he loved and who loved him back. His family. His family will carry his values, his competitive spirit. Boy, my dad was a fierce competitor. Fierce.
and his passion for his family, all forward in their lives, in each of your lives, I hope. I myself will aspire to do that, and I'm proud to say I was my father's son. As a close friend who happened to work with my dad and myself, recently reminded me when his parents passed away. My dad took him aside and told him, quoting Dr. Seuss, "Don't be sad it's over, be glad it happened." And that I can say for my father. Thank you for the gift you've given me and the guidance you provided throughout your life. I'll continue to use those lessons. For this to be ever grateful. I love you.
We're going to rise for the memorial prayer. If she can. You're fine. He wants us to. El Mole Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Hametzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina Bemalot Kedoshim Utehorim Kazor Rakia Mazirim Et Nishmat Yaakov Wolf Ben Michael Be'ita Shalach lo lamo, began Eden tehem menuchato. Anobal harachamim hastirehu, v'seiter kanafecha leolamim. Utzror b'tzrachem et nishmato, Adonai hu nachalato, v'yanoch b'shalom ha'mishkavo, v'nomar amen. May we remember all of the worthy and the righteous deeds that he performed while in the land of the living. May his soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life. God is now his portion. May he rest in peace. And we all say amen. Amen. We can be seated. Receiving people beginning at 4 o'clock today at Homewood Suite in Solon. 4 o'clock till, is it 7? 4 till 7. And of course everyone is invited to come. And as part of that, we'll also hold a Shiva Minyan service at some point during those hours. We're going to now proceed to the burial portion of the service. We're going to lower the casket and then we'll have a chance to put some dirt on the casket. And of course, tradition. Now,
זרק מעלה ימיניך, רחם מפלי תצון ידיך, ותאמר למלאכי רפואיך. להגיד כי אפשר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת בו. אדוני נתן ואדוני לקח, יהי שם אדוני מבורך. והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית, ויבוא לשירתו ולא יאיר כל חמתו. על מקומו יבוא ושלום.
Yep, go right ahead.
As you know, when we did this class, the third lecture, the last area of the third.
Yeah. I'm in it. Yeah.
I think we're pretty good, Joe.
Yeah.
Just a couple more. We're good. That's right.
Howard, okay?
We all set? We all set?
I think we're good.
So we're going to recite the Kaddish, your first Kaddish here. I think it's on your cards, of course. I'm good.
That's what I want you to do. Is you in my book.
Well, I already know. You're humbling me.
Ready? Good. I want to wait for your grandma.
Not rush. Okay? All good?
Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Yalmad, Yivras,
Hadar, Vitalev, Vitalal, Shemeda Kudisha, Barichu, La'ela, Mikol, Birchata, Beshirata, Tusha Hata, Namiran, Yama, Yamaru, Amen. Yehi Shalama, Rabba, Mishmaya, Bechayim, Aleinu, Yalko, Yisrael, Yamaru, Amen. Moshe Shalom, May God comfort you mourning today, together with all others who mourn in the house of Israel and in all the world. Also. Amen. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. You have created it, you have fashioned it, you have breathed life into it, and you preserve it daily within you. There will, however, come a day when you will take that soul away from me. But you will return it to me in the life to come. So long as the soul remains within me on this earth, I will continue to thank you for the blessings I am granted during my lifetime. O Lord my God, the God of my ancestors, the God of my people. Amen. Services are now concluded. It's customary actually to create an aisle. I don't know if that's feasible here, but
you can do that.
customary to create an aisle so the family can walk.
Everyone except the immediate mourners. Everyone except the immediate mourners will come out this way, and we're going to create an aisle. It's called the Shura.
Create an aisle for you. That way you leave the spot.
They're going to go that way. It's just shorter.